Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in here to this webinar. We understand the current climate that everybody's in, and speed is a necessity. So this is really focused on achieving rapid ROI on both B2B and B2C, specifically in Commerce Cloud. So some best practices for standing up your commerce storefront. Your speakers today are myself, Allison Williams, and Nathan Anderson. So as I mentioned, I'm Allison. I'm a senior architect and the B2C Salesforce Commerce COE lead. I have just over 10 years of experience in e-commerce, retail specifically, and just over 6 years experience working in Salesforce B2C, previously Demandware.
And hi, everyone. Thanks for listening today. I'm Nathan Anderson, Senior Architect and B2B Commerce COE Lead here at the Mindtree Salesforce practice. I have been working on the Salesforce platform for over 15 years now, the last 5 of which have been focused on B2B commerce implementations, formerly CloudCraze.
All right, so what's the point of this whole webinar? I think the need for speed to market. We know these stats were pulled from a couple of months ago, and really it shows that there's an increase in demand and a decrease in IT or operating costs. And I think that's even more exemplified in the current events today. We know that either the B2B retailers don't have the capability set for having field reps to be out in a field anymore, and we're seeing some of the essential B2C businesses really growing significantly, where some of the other smaller retailers or traditional brick and mortar apparel stores are actually decreasing and finding ways, really creative ways to get in touch with their digital market and their customers. So how can we achieve this?
So when you're trying to move quickly, some of the common milestones of an implementation become even more amplified because of the increase in expectations. Any implementation of any type of software, particularly in commerce, can feel like an uphill climb, but with limited time and resources, some of these pitfalls can really stall and derail a project. And when we're talking commerce, those risks can be even more large for your business. So talking about stalls in business growth, loss of revenue and loss of customers and unforeseen expenses. These are real problems and real risk with delays in the implementation. So we have aligned with 4 key kind of waypoints along a typical implementation and typical commerce journey. And our goal for today is to kind of talk through how we can flatten that mountain of implementation pitfalls a little bit for you.
So picking the platform is the first piece of the first key waypoint. And then the 3 that we'll talk most heavily around is the 3 different areas of defining, developing, and deploying. So whether that's defining your MVP, developing your first release, and then deploying it, each one has critical guideposts that can keep you on the right path. And can individually help detract from your goal or rapid return on your investment. So when looking at an overview with regards to platform selection, looking for a reliable platform that'll help you grow your business and put your customers and your data at the center. We know right now that speed is the critical key right now. How quickly can you get up and running? But taking a look at the long-term goal and the reasons around your commerce journey and the relationship that you have with your customers. So the 3 competitors that we put together would be Magento, Shopify, and Salesforce, whether that's Salesforce Commerce. So Magento is really scalable for large and enterprise businesses with complex catalogs, but they have siloed applications that usually cause a disconnect with customer data, and implementation timelines can take quite a while. From a Shopify standpoint, this is really great for entry-level and single store operations with a small catalog, but there's few buyers and there's little post-sale needs. Whereas Salesforce, really, from a B2C and a B2B perspective, is an enterprise-ready commerce platform that's native to the cloud. So a new B2B implementation can result in an 85% reduction in cost, 15% increase in order size, and 8% increase in revenue. So it's already connected to your CRM, and it's powered by consistent innovation. So in this case, no platform can really offer the benefits that Salesforce B2C or B2B can offer.
All right, so once you've selected your platform, the next critical step is to define success. And so this may sound simple and obvious, but it's constantly the most overlooked part of a commerce implementation. Your goals can't simply be to turn on e-commerce and see the money flowing in. You need to define your anchors, so every decision can be evaluated against those anchors. Remember, we're talking about rapid return here, so your scope, budget, timeline may all be limited, and you need to be able to focus on the most important things first and not try to boil the ocean with your first release. So one of the first guideposts within Define here is data. Data is the heart of any e-commerce storefront. Bad data in a commerce storefront is much worse than bad data in a CRM. Bad data in a commerce storefront means a loss of revenue directly, can be loss of customers. You'd argue that data in this first phase is far more important than the UX. And some designers might be recoiling at that thought, but data, if your catalog data is a mess, it doesn't matter how pretty the menu is. If your customer and your order data doesn't flow correctly, it doesn't matter how flashy the account section is. Or in a B2B scenario, if your customers don't see the right correct contracted price, it doesn't matter how good your promotional banners look, you're at risk of losing customers and losing sales. So Commerce Cloud, both B2B and B2C, gives you plenty of out-of-the-box options to configure your user interface without customization that can allow you to focus on setting that information foundation. The second part of this data guidepost here is is integrations. So integrations are a major cost and time driver. It will be very easy to decide that your storefront can't go live without full automation. But depending on where you are in your journey, there can be a path to a live storefront without integrations, provided you have a plan for them and incorporate that future state into your data mapping exercises early on. So next is features. So going back to utilizing what you get out of the box as much as possible. Focus only on adding features that are differentiators for your business and known drivers for your customers.
Yeah, between Nathan and I and some of the implementations we've seen, right, a good example is if you sell auto parts, building or implementing a custom part finder or a fit finder is a priority, but you may want to hold off on that custom car paint picker widget. Whereas if you sell furniture, you may need to include measurements on your product detail pages, but you can probably hold off on adding a custom free swatch selector.
Exactly. So finally, defining success. So most importantly, you need to define your objectives and your goals. So are you trying to grow one line of business? Are you trying to enter a new market? What does success look like operationally? Are you hoping for efficiencies gained for field sales or for customer service? All of those are important questions, but once you answer those questions for your business, you should also define a set of measurable technical KPIs to help you measure those things. Things like cart conversion, like average order size and value, revenue per visit. All of those type of things will help you gather real feedback and inform your roadmap and prioritization questions as you navigate into the development phase.
Nice. So, right, you've gone through the define phase, and whether that's 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, there are a whole lot of questions that need to get determined. And you've got your MVP and your list of features and integrations that are critical for launch. So you defined all your metrics for success. In this case, try not to get distracted with the shiny things during development. So again, whether development is 3 weeks or whether it's 30 weeks, stick to the features and integrations that you initially outlined in your define phase. Scope creep, we all know, is real, and it happens unknowingly with the best intentions. So you can begin development, you made it to your first demo, and you have 3 or 4 different stakeholders in your business that say they have to have a certain feature. In this case, when you get into development, keep focus on what your customer needs. Furthermore, focus on your main customer demographic. So with regard to scope, avoid the trap of overdeveloping a feature. Focus on your main use cases. So many times we see businesses focus on the smallest, most complex use cases that affect very few customers. Try to focus on the path of least resistance and aim for your 80-20 rule. If less than 10% of your orders are gifts, you don't need to spend a lot of time customizing the gift message widget to allow for small, medium, or gift box selection. So on the implementation side of things, don't wait until a week before go live to import 3 million of your product records. I know just said to eliminate scope creep, but importing data early allows you to determine if major items or features that may have been missed during the design phase. So no data integration ever goes smoothly, but determine what's critical for go live and plan early. So best practice, we recommend catalogs, products specifically, and customers, and focus on your key products that are going to be essential for your go live. So past orders aren't critical for go live, and neither are old wish lists, registries, search phases, or even promotion. So if you're in the midst of re-platforming, focus on what's really important. And if you're focusing on new implementation, you've never had an e-commerce storefront before, really focus on what Nathan mentioned of those data elements. So your product and your catalog, and what's a necessity to get up for the initial, for your customers. What do you need to provide for them to purchase? And then lastly, in the develop section, we all know that continuous integration and continuous development and test automation are great in the end goal, but that takes years and hundreds of internal team members to perfect. So in keeping with scope, create a solid test plan that accounts for your foundational actions and scenarios for your key use cases. Stick to those, and you'll be able to keep on a really tight development timeline.
Awesome. So finally, your storefront is developed, your integrations are implemented, testing is passed. What happens next? You've got a team of merchants, of CSR, of operations teams, all who have no idea how to use this new application. Well, the preparation for all this needs to happen well before the deploy phase. So don't think of this as a linear timeline here. Deploy and the activities within, so preparation, education, enablement, these things need to be happening all throughout the course of the implementation. Need to make sure you create a really detailed go live checklist, a communication plan, both internal and external, to make sure your external users know if things like a password reset are going to come out to them. Your internal users are ready for a potential spike in call volume as people navigate through that. Lots of examples of things like that you need to really be prepared for. In terms of enablement, it's really important to be ahead of some of the critical things operationally that might be slight changes in job function for certain roles. So think of service reps changing behavior from placing phone orders to actually helping to support the site. Field sales reps, nowadays not many field sales reps are out there, but you need to be ahead of how a new e-commerce site might affect how a field sales rep spends their day, and even details like how they might be compensated as a result. You want them to be on your side and to be supporters of an e-commerce implementation, and to do that, you need to do some preparation beforehand.
Awesome. Absolutely.
So when you bring all of this together, this still kind of seems like a lot. Looking at our recommendations, the goal of this approach is to help eliminate the pitfalls and really kind of flatten the landscape to allow you to get live with less risk. But it still represents a ton of decisions to be made and a lot of work to be done, which can be really overwhelming. So based on our experience and expertise, we've put together a solution to try to accelerate this process by predefining a large set of the configurations and integrations to allow you to focus solely on the areas of your business that matter most and making some of the key decisions that we outlined in the previous slide. Our packaged accelerators include full suites of project artifacts and templates that you can utilize without spending all of that planning and developing time from scratch.
Definitely. So not only do you just get the storefront and the operating technology, but you get all of these additional artifacts to really help again, flatten that landscape, make a lot of those decisions and help you move quickly. So whether it's on the B2C side that uses SFRA, the storefront reference architecture, it contains any site readiness assessment artifacts, so things for smooth delivery, including functional documents, technical specification documents, and it also includes a set of optional integrations that allow you to quickly add pieces via your link cartridge to support, let's say, reviews or your payment providers, and any built-in analytics to help you measure those KPIs for success.
Exactly. And on the B2B side, using the out-of-the-box B2B commerce installation with a focus on a UI starter kit to help give it a clean, updated look, allow for a quick plug-in of your company styles and brandings, as well as a few additional lightweight add-ons. All of the project documentation ready to support the SRA required documentation and processes, optional market template installations, but a real focus on the data preparation and the identification of those key integrations, even if they aren't included in the first MVP, to help you really complete that picture and connect to your back office and your future roadmap. So using all of these assets and methodology, we aim to keep you on this path to a successful implementation, avoid those pitfalls with a healthy future roadmap.
So we thanks for listening in, and hopefully you took away a couple of key elements. We know that speed and reliability are the utmost importance right now. So hopefully a couple of these things, whether you're in the process of building or starting a new storefront, getting up and running to support your business, or running an essential business currently and trying to keep up with demand, that at least something in here resonated with you, and anything that we can do, please reach out to us. So thank you so much for attending. And yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.